Hello, dear friends. When God wants the world to change, it changes, because He is in every particle of matter and in the space that contains it, says Poet Dog. Opinion piece. Reality shift. Dimensional shift. Cosmic disclosure. Time of revelation. Reset of all systems. System silent mode. The silence is charged. Solar node in January. Leap between realities. A line has been crossed. Something big is coming. January is the threshold. Truth doesn't come gently. A new frequency anchored. The age of revelation starts. The social contract is broken. Theater of mandatory emotions in Christmas. Let's start. January 2026 has been declared a month of reality restructuring by the Coalition of Worlds, a planetary turning point following the closing of the winter solstice corridor, according to Aurora Ray. January activates Earth's solar spine, synchronizing that of the starseeds and forcing alignment with higher frequency timelines, where what doesn't resonate collapses. This is a planetary deployment order. A line has been crossed, and a new frequency has been anchored. The Coalition announces that the Age of Revelation has begun, with the veils of secrecy rapidly lifting to expose truths hidden from humanity, according to Celia Wilder. Suppressed advancements will be revealed, along with energy and propulsion technologies, freeing humanity from scarcity. The veils of secrecy are lifting, and what has been hidden from humanity is coming to light with an urgency that cannot be ignored. This is not by chance, nor can it be stopped, because the cosmic forces at play are aligning to generate a new era of understanding and enlightenment. The truth doesn't arrive gently. It arrives fully, like a wave of clarity that strips away the debris of the deception of ignorance. The revelations may be shocking, but they are necessary for humanity's collective awakening. Unleashing. January 2026 begins with an urgency that the Coalition of Worlds has not issued in over 13,000 years. This is a planetary unfolding order. A line has been crossed, a new frequency has been anchored, and humanity has entered the month of reality restructuring. The shift began the moment the winter solstice closed. Earth's field broke, connecting to a higher grid after centuries of distortion. Most human beings experienced this as exhaustion or emotional overload, but awakened starseeds felt a sudden clarity. The Coalition wants that January amplifies this pull 100-fold. The Earth is absorbing a new harmonic bandwidth that compels souls to rise toward coherence or dissolve timelines that cannot survive the light. This is why relationships are shifting, careers are collapsing, identities are mutating, and long buried truths are surfacing. It is not chaos but alignment. For the first time in human history, the collective field is reorganizing around a higher frequency rather than reacting to a lower one. Identity. This January marks the emergence of the commanding self, the operational identity of a soul that remembers why it incarnated. It is the version of you that no longer negotiates boundaries, does not doubt its intuition, does not delay its mission, and does not collapse into old patterns. Sometimes this identity emerges gently, sometimes violently, but always unavoidably. The most important moment of the month will be in mid-January. The January solar node, a region of space where solar intelligence expands emotional coherence. This node reorganizes the heart field of every starseed. Feelings intensify, courage, release from pain, sincerity, creative power, impulses of visibility, compassion and emotional openness. These are not random waves. They are mission codes. During this solar node, you will receive the first instructions for the 2026 timeline. January is not a month of manifestation. It is a month of alignment. Life will show you with unflinching clarity what belongs in your timeline and what does not. What collapses was never your destiny. What grows aligns. What returns belongs. What disappears is completed. What scares you but feels good is your beginning. What comforts you but shrinks you is your past. When starseeds are activated, the Earth grid stabilizes at a frequency that humanity has never sustained. Millions of beings will feel the same inner impulse to rise, speak at, and make themselves visible. This is not coincidence, but coordination. When enough awakened humans maintain the same frequency, the planetary field forms clusters of coherence that strengthen the network. January is the threshold. You are being asked to become the best version of yourself, capable of holding the light of the new timeline. The old identities cannot build the world you came to create. You are no longer a seeker, but a stabilizer. You are no longer in preparation. You are in command. The year has begun, and with it, your mission. Christmas silence. System silent mode, according to Mr. Poole. What you are experiencing is not a pause or a delay. It is a controlled silence designed to allow structural transfers to be completed without public interference. History is not openly turning. It is changing under the guise of normality, while attention is managed and expectations are redirected. This is the internal in which traditional systems will show activity while essential functions have already been moved elsewhere. The public layer remains noisy by design. The media doesn't report on events. It occupies space. Politics, markets, conflicts, and daily distractions from a buffer that absorbs the shocking while decisions are made out of sight. Real operations don't seek validation. They require completion. When the noise increases without clarity, it's because the important work is no longer being done where you are told to look. You can't get the infrastructure up and running with public announcements. It gets blocked. Ledgers don't appear. They synchronize. You don't solicit authorization from the crowd. You confirm it across systems. When you don't see anything changing on the surface, that's a sign that changes are happening in depth. Surface stability is a feature, not a bug, during transition windows. Civilian channels remain silent for a reason. Alerts aren't the first step. Silence is. The initial test is composition. Those who require constant signals will miss the moment entirely, while those who understand the system's behavior will recognize that stillness is containment, not absence. What feels like waiting is actually the separation between those who watch the headlines and those who trace the structure. History doesn't announce its tweets. It files them away after the fact. By the time a consensus forms that the change has occurred, it has already become irreversible. Control isn't sized through drama. It's transferred through adjustment, which happens quietly to avoid resistance. This window closes silently. And when it does, the world doesn't panic, but realize. The silence isn't empty, it's charged. Reflections. According to Kim Goguen, we are the organic matrix, facing off against the synthetic matrix of the cabal. The more we unite, the sooner this will end. Rafa Pal predicts that 2026 will be the year of I told you so, or a global anger, when evidence of conspiracies will spark a popular rebellion, based on leaks from the White Hats, the Stone Rider, and Ariel. John Locke wrote 3 centuries ago that when a government acts against its citizens, when it uses its instruments against the very people it is meant to protect, the government dissolves. The people owe nothing to a contract that the other party has already broken. The reset of all systems is a global event that is about to enter its execution phase. This is the final stage of a plan to save the world, according to Ezra Cohen. All eligible adults will receive wallets on the Starlink satellite network. The few who wish to remain in 3D are becoming increasingly dramatic and cruel, fearing the loss of their external power. This cruelty is pushing more humanity towards transition. The world is becoming softer and gentler. Those who refuse to change will become increasingly obsolete, according to Brenda Hoffman. Something big is coming, and governments know it. While the public is distracted by wars, politics, and crisis headlines, massive changes are quietly happening in the background. AI-controlled planes flying through geomagnetic storms, collapsing precious metals markets, and governments preparing control systems. People are getting impatient, leading to a loss of interest in everything. When interest fades and the senses become bored, it is not the end, but a sign of a spiritual awakening. It is a sign that a part of you is dying and being reborn. It is a sign that everything you embody is in transition, and you simply need to relax and enjoy the journey. You will fade from your reality according to Carrie Kay. There are moments in your awakening when you realize that you are no longer in the same world as those around you. You feel present but invisible. You feel real but untouchable. You feel love growing in your body, and at the same time you notice that some people don't perceive you. This is not a mistake. It is the beginning of a separation of realities. The system was never designed to be repaired. It was designed to be replaced, according to Paul White Gold Eagle. Banking experts call it system instability. Analysts label it anomalous liquidity events. The coalition classifies it as a successful phase advanced. Everything that was hidden is now on record. Everything they feared is now active. When the elite stop talking, it means they have lost control. This isn't the end of money. It's the end of slavery through money. The quantum economy has begun. The network is live. The transition is irreversible. You were never meant to be a debt unit. You were meant to be a participant. Parties quietly distance you from people, according to Alan Watts, because they turn joy into a social script, create pressure to be happy against your will, and break down the authenticity of human connection. It's not so much the party itself, but the theater of obligatory emotions, expectations, and masks that makes a more awakened or sensitive human being feel alone, even when surrounded by people. When consciousness begins to awaken, the individual stops finding meaning in commercialized celebrations and leans towards simpler, more honest forms of joy and connection. This transition is experienced as a silent distancing. You are still at the party, but you no longer belong to the game of having to pretend to be something you don't feel. Breaking news. Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake just played on Russia's Doomsday shortwave radio station. It's a positive sign. Gold and silver are headed for their biggest annual price increase in more than 40 years. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent reveals that the gold-backed assets will be the first tradable asset in the new system. Elon Musk remains Trump's top advisor on Doge and beyond, according to Mr. Whiplash. Europe. Discouragement reigns in the EU after its Christmas plan to expropriate Russian assets fails. The US is pressuring European countries to abandon the plan to use Russia's frozen assets. Inflation in Spain moderated by 0.1 of a percentage point in December to 2.9% due to lower fuel prices. Americas. Mexican researchers are using artificial intelligence to explore the lava deposits of Popocatépetl. Chile approves its largest lithium mining project. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.